Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hopefully we're going to have a very lively discussion on a rather pertinent issue. Now we've got the general election only 6 months away. Benefits. So the motion is, this House believes that the benefit system has created a culture of dependency and not mobility. Tonight we are joined by, on the proposition, by John Bird. John Bird is a social entrepreneur. Having set up Big Issue in 1991, he was awarded an MBE in 1995 for services to homeless people. Big Issue syndicated around the world, from Australia to Malawi. He's recently made a splash in the papers for criticising Ed Miliband for giving money to a beggar in Manchester. I'm sorry if I've misquoted you here, but this is a Daily Mail splash.
They're always right.
Giving money to beggars isn't kindness, Ed. It's cruelty. And I should know, I used to be one. John tonight is joined by Camilla Goodwin. Camilla has been working with the Institute of Economic Affairs, a very reputable right-wing think tank based in London, since March of this year. Whilst at university, she founded Exeter's Politics, Philosophy and Economics Society, which still runs on today. She used to work very closely with the Taxpayers Alliance on campaigns about cutting fuel duty and the air passenger duty. And she's also had dealings with the NHS, working as an intern a few years ago. So we're very privileged to have her here tonight. And for the opposition, we have Patrick Butler of The Guardian, a multi-award-winning columnist, whose Cuts blog has generated a lot of controversy and is widely consulted by those on the left and the right of the political spectrum. So it's quoted, time and time after again in Parliament. So again, we're very thrilled to be having him here tonight. And we have Mark Ferguson, who is the editor of Labour List, a hugely influential Labour Party, well, it's not technically Labour Party, but it's an independent of it. It's been driving policy debate since about 2010. And it's getting hits of tens of thousands every month of unique visitors. And Ed Balls, let's have a juicy quote, shall we? Said that, yeah, I think we should. Come on, Ed Balls is such a respectable character. Labour List is flourishing and agenda setting, and that's very powerful. It's brought a huge change over the last year. 2 years ago, we weren't on the field when it came to new media. Now I think we're ahead of the Tories in new communications. So again, we're very thrilled to have Mark joining us. So can we just have a round of applause for the speakers tonight? Now let me just quickly give you a run through for the format. I know this gets a bit boring and tedious, but we'll be quick here. Essentially, each speaker has 7 minutes to address you. The winning side is the one that changes the most hearts and minds. So it's not necessarily the side that wins the most votes. So we're going to begin with John Bird, who's going to open the debate. And then after those 7 minutes each, that will be about half an hour, we're going to open the formal debate. And we'll be taking questions, not from us, but from you, and Twitter as well. So do get involved on Twitter. We've got the hashtag BenefitsYork at York Union. So do get involved, and we'll pluck a few out from there if they're interested. So, John, would you like to start off for us, please?
Could you remind me of what the motion is?
The motion is, this House believes that the benefit system has created a culture of dependency and not mobility.
Thank you. I didn't write that. I think you've got to stick in a can, or sometimes, or maybe does, because you can't talk about benefit without talking about all the benefits that it does do to the people who are needy, to the disabled, to the young, to people who are in distress and actually are in need and benefit, and the welfare system, which was created as a means by which you help those, you help strangers. If you help yourself, that's not welfare, that's helping your family. The definition of welfare is the benefit and well-being of strangers. And there's nothing better in this world than the fact that our forefathers fought for the right of people to be concerned for the well-being of others. So let's get it straight away that there's nothing wrong with benefit. Or there's nothing wrong with welfare. Or if you're like me and you like to coin little phrases which you can throw around at dinner parties and piss-ups, I'll give you one. You have to fare well on welfare in order to say farewell to welfare. And that, unfortunately, is the big problem. The real big problem is that at the end of the 80s, Margaret Thatcher, when she was asked by Lord Willie Whitelaw, what are you going to do with nearly 1 million workers who had been shaken out of the basic industries that had been, the First World War industries that had never been allowed to develop in the 20th century. Margaret Thatcher said, in imitation of Marie Antoinette, who said, let them eat cake, when she was told that there was no bread in the streets of Paris. And Margaret Thatcher said, let them have benefits. And that terrible situation where the sluice gates of the benefit system was opened and brought in all sorts of people like my family, my brothers, my nieces, my nephews, my mates, my cousins, and replaced work rather than giving them the opportunity of social mobility. Because the thing about benefit and the thing about social security is it was always about helping those people in the equation who desperately need it, and they never get enough of it, and there's always somebody chastising them. What are you on fucking benefit for? And at the same time, all the other people, the able-bodied, were never allowed to take that opportunity, that pause, when they lost their work under Thatcher, and be educated and be retrained. When you get the Guardian and the Independent and the left wing and the Liberals defending the benefit system, they are defending the creation of Margaret Thatcher. Because Margaret Thatcher won in Britain. They're not defending the welfare system. They're not defending the system that was created after the Second World War. They're not defending the social security system, which was a final way in which, if you were out of work for long enough and your benefit money, the contribution that you had made, had run out, then you would get benefit as a top-up. Thatcherism recreated the welfare system, so it was a system for warehousing and parking up our young and our able-bodied. And it was a sinister, vicious, nasty, right-wing invention. And yet you get Polly Toynbee, and you get people like Owen Jones and all these left-wing people talking about the need to preserve something that was created by the enemies of the poor, by the enemies of the working class. And that's where I come from. I started the big issue in 1991 because I was pissed off as a left-winger, as a Marxist, watching a situation develop where even members of my own family were being destroyed by the benefit system. Benefit has to benefit people. So let's say that this argument has to be cleared up immediately. This argument has to be about the way in which benefit has been an enormous way of creating social control, where 85% of the people in the prison system come from a workless background. So it's a breeder of crime amongst sections of the population. where only 1/2% of people from a benefit background ever get to the university, ever get to contemplate, ever get to read The Guardian, ever get the education and the social chance of getting out. That is the real thing that's the problem of today. The problem of today is you've got a load of piss-willy people not clarifying the situation. And on top of that, you then have a whole host of right-wingers who see it necessary to dismantle this poverty supporting system. And they do it on the basis that they're bringing people back into work. And a lot of the time, they're bringing them back into Poundland and bringing them back into Shitsville. Sorry, I've got to have some more. I've been using my voice. I'm a professional big mouth.
John, I'm afraid we're going to have to cut it there. That's your 7 minutes. And something that...
Anyway, love you all. God bless you. And you know what? They thought I was going to come along here and say, oh, you know, we ought to cut benefit and all that. I'm sorry, I didn't. And you know what? Because they're not very good at keeping contact with me and I rush all over the place, I've probably pissed them up a bit. Anyway, thank you. God bless you.